Setterberg, and I'm here today with Timothy Ledna. He is the new Fairbanks Reentry Coalition Coordinator, taking my place, and has been a coalition member since starting work with a partner agency last summer. Timothy, you're relatively new to Alaska. What brought you to Fairbanks?
So there's a lot of people that have childhood dreams about moving to Alaska. I didn't have any of those. I never really dreamed that I would live in Alaska or even visit Alaska, quite honestly. Alaska was sort of a different, another planet. I grew up in Chicago, was born in Denver, but raised in Chicago, and Alaska was just never really on the radar. I was applying for a new job last December 2019, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was a whim, but I didn't put a whole lot of thought into applying to a job here at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And the interview process went well, and I was offered a position and moved up here sight unseen. My first month was January 2020. I arrived -40. It was a really cold winter, much colder than I have ever experienced, and even Chicago can get cold. But I knew that there was something different about this place when I got off the airplane, went to get my rental car, and they handed me the keys and this long extension cord. And I just said, what do I need that for? I was puzzled. What was the point of this extension cord? And she said, well, you have to plug in your car or the engine is going to freeze. And I walked away just kind of, and I had a Siamese cat too, by the way, that had flown with me. And so the cat and I walked away with this extension cord. And I thought to myself, where have I landed? Where have I come? Where am I? And so now, fast forward, I've been here for going on 18 months, and I know where I'm at, and I like it a lot. There's a website called Explore Fairbanks that kind of takes the words out of my mouth, and it talks about the sky takes on a capricious life of its own here, a canvas for the aurora borealis, the midnight sun, and the sunrise and sunsets that last forever. Here there are serious mountains, which I really love, especially having been born in Denver. There's something in my heart about mountains. Pristine rivers and lakes, abundant wildlife, and a certain poignant solitude that is found nowhere else on earth. Fairbanks is a great community, and even though we're out really kind of in the middle of nowhere, we've got a really vibrant town life. There's more restaurants here than I think the law should allow. There's just a lot actually to do and to be part of. And the Alaska Native culture and the exploration that goes with that is new for me, right? And so that's been exciting and also something that I very much value now that I'm here.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Community organizing to address an issue like reentry, making our community safer and stronger, is at the heart of coalition work. What drew you to engage in this work?
So this will be the first job that I've had that will have a focus primarily on reentrance and reentry work, and that is, of course, folks that are coming out from the justice system and incarceration. And although this is the first time that this will be a primary focus for me, I've certainly had, I think, a very successful career in various nonprofit agencies and also in the educational world, higher ed, hence the job that I was offered at UAF. And so I have a good record of helping struggling communities, disadvantaged individuals, folks that are sort of on the sidelines or the peripherals of society. I was a foster parent and adopted 2 boys from the Utah foster care system. That's one of the things I'm most proud of, but I'm also proud to have been an advocate for struggling communities, at-risk college students, the poor, and a lot of other different diverse underserved populations. So now my role is still as a helping professional, I think, right? But it's to advance the mission of the Reentry Coalition.
Yeah, that's great. What do you bring to the table as the new coordinator?
So, in anticipating and thinking about this interview, I think I'm going to steal from the interview that I had to get the job, right?
Okay.
And so I told the interviewers, the Reentry Coalition executive team, in that process of getting hired that I was ready to be the person that would help this organization thrive, this coalition thrive. And I think that first and foremost, for me, that means they needed someone, and I am that someone who's mission oriented. And so I'm passionate about creating a community where returning citizens have the keys to successfully achieve their personal goals. And that's the mission statement of the Reentry Coalition. And so there's this anecdotal story of President Kennedy, whether it's true or not, but I've been told it many times, so I believe in my heart it's true. But he was visiting the space shuttle, before they were going to launch and put a person on the moon, and he met a lot of the commanders and all of these folks, and they all explained the different jobs they had. And on the way out, he met a maintenance worker who was sweeping, maybe custodian staff, and he asked that person, what is it that you do here at the space station? And that person said, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. And so there's this sense that from the highest levels of the organization down to the lowest levels of the organization, everyone sort of knew what the mission was, and they were on track to do that. And so I think that's an important piece that I bring to the table, is being very mission oriented. I also think that it's important for a coalition coordinator to have good relationship building skills, right? And so for me, as I shared with the committee, or the hiring committee, was it can't just be forming high-level allies. That's important. So I want to become friends with the mayor. I haven't met him yet, but I've been in many Zoom meetings with him. But I need to form a partnership, an ally with someone at that higher level, the mayor's office, the governor's office, and those state divisions that work in reentry work. But equally important for me is also building relationships with the people that you wouldn't consider high level, and they're folks that again are on the peripherals that other folks may not be inviting to the table. And so looking especially at the people we serve, reentrants, and how do I build a relationship with the mayor as well as the man or the woman that just got out of prison, So that's an important piece. Being a good steward of money is important. This position is grant funded. The coalition receives grant funding. And so the coordinator has to work well to be a good steward of that money, look for in the future where our funding source is going to continue. Are they going to continue? Where will they continue so that the work can continue? And then finally, I think advocacy is another important piece. And so being able to advocate on behalf of the coalition, advocate with the coalition, and especially, again, the people that we're serving, the reentrants. And so advocacy will be an important skill that I hope that I bring to the table.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. So, Linda, you've been at the Reentry Coalition for 3 years, and during that time, you started something called the Bridge. So tell us a little bit more about your new role and the Bridge.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I am now the operations director of the Bridge. I just counted our employees, counting me, 18.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, but it came out of the coalition. You met Bobby and Carrie and some of the other members of our coalition who really believe that the very thing you were talking about, that peers should have a role, and that peers could help in a way that a clinician couldn't help, or a probation officer couldn't do it, right? And so we started looking at peer support, and I kind of had been hearing, like, through the grapevine, it was something that was going to happen. And what I really feel like we did at the Bridge, is we and the coalition, is that we caught a wave, right? We got on the ground floor of something and we're following it, right? We're the first ones to do peer support training in Fairbanks, and really just decided this is our niche. This is what we were going to do. And so I didn't know it would become a job for me. I thought it would just be the coalition, but as you know, the coalition last year in their strategic planning said, no, we don't want the coalition to do direct services. We want the agencies to do the direct services.
That's pretty typical from states,
from other
coalitions around the state.
Yes, and around our community. So we wanted to stay in that lane, and I, and then I was given a choice, and so, and because of you taking that job, I actually can do that, step away from the coalition, not the work of reentry, of course, but just really build peer support and a recovery community that will support our returning citizens. So.
Yeah. Well, on a personal note, I just want to thank you for all of the behind the scenes work that you're doing to help me be successful in my first few weeks here as the coalition coordinator. And it means a lot to me. And people don't know that you're being really gracious to me and telling me little bits of information here and there that I wouldn't know by myself. And you left a lot of good stuff on the computer too. So.
Good stuff on the computer. I left a calendar. So at least for the first few months, it's all there. So anyway.
Well, I'm really looking forward to a smooth transition as one organization that sprouted from the coalition takes its wings and starts to build around this core idea of the value of peer support, and I'm looking forward to working alongside you and many of the wonderful community partners besides the bridge that will go into making reentry efforts thrive and stand out, and maybe we can be a model in Fairbanks for the rest of the state for how to do it well. So I'm looking forward to all of that and continuing our relationship.
Timothy, I want to just pass on the baton to you so that the coalition has a smooth transition and we continue to do the good work that we've started. So thank you.